Hi, welcome to part 4. We'll be looking at type A personality and cardiovascular disease. Okay. This area of research began because doctors were noticing that when people came in for heart attacks or other cardiovascular diseases, they tended to behave differently. They tended to be more aggressive. They tended to be a little bit more hostile. They tended to just have these personality traits that just different from others, right? So they started looking into that and what could be the difference, right? So they do know that risk factors for developing cardiovascular disease, the high blood pressure, obesity, smoking, inactive lifestyle, and high cholesterol. So in the 1970s, they added a specific personality trait, type A, started to look into that. And what they found is there are three behavior patterns or three different subtraits or ways of behaving that people with type A behavior have. So one is achievement motivation, time urgency, and then hostility. So achievement motivation, type A people just like to get things done. They like to work really hard. They like to get things done, to get around obstacles, to accomplish things. It makes them feel good to accomplish their goals and get things done, basically. And they like to be recognized for it as well. Um, time urgency. Time urgency means that they like to get things done in a timely manner. Okay, if they can multitask and get things done, they will do that. If there's a way of getting things done faster, they will do that. Um, Time is very important to them, and not wasting time is also very important to them. And then, thirdly, is the hostility factor or aggressiveness, frustration, all of that. So, when they're unable to get their work done or achieve their goals, or something is stopping them or preventing them from moving forward and getting their stuff done, they get very hostile, right? And we'll see examples of that coming up in the next section. So, early studies found that of type A found that it was an independent risk factor for developing cardiovascular disease. Early studies conducted by physicians using structured interview. So originally, physicians were detecting type A, doing an interview with their clients. So we're asking all these questions. Client was, responding, and that's how they were. That's how they were detecting it. Problem with interviews is that they take a long time, right? They're very time intensive. So eventually they thought, well, hey, let's make a survey, and then the patients can complete this survey much faster. You can hand out the survey to tons of people at the same time and collect a lot more data a lot faster. So they make the survey called the Jenkins Activity Survey. Then what happened was, in doing the surveys they were less effective at detecting type A, right? Study using the surveys were less likely to find relationships between type A and heart disease than the interviews, right? And they're thinking, okay, well, why is that? Like when they did the interviews, it was very good at predicting heart disease. But when we diagnose them with the surveys, it's not. So, what is missing here? What is the piece that's missing? And what they found was that the interviews and the surveys, they were sort of tapping into different aspects of type A. Structured interview gets at the lethal component. So, the interview questions was more focused on hold on. The hostility piece. Okay, remember I said there was three pieces to if somebody was type A. Achievement, motivation, time urgency, and hostility, right? Well, when they were doing the interviews, it was more focused around this hostility piece, which was why they were able to detect it. The surveys that they made had more questions around achievement, motivation, and time urgency, and those are not the dangerous part. The dangerous part of type A personality is this hostility piece. Get back here. Yeah, so several studies have now established hostility is a strong predictor of cardiovascular disease. There we go. The interviews were focused more on hostility and aggression, whereas the questionnaires more on time, urgency, and achievement. So hostility and aggression, people who are high in this, they get hostile when they're being slowed down. They get hostile when, like when they were doing the interviews, if the interviewer talked slower. People who are high in this tend to get angry when people talk really slowly, right? I don't know if you've ever been in the situation where if I was doing the video and I was talking like this, and I was just talking at this pace for the duration of the video. So that would be really annoying to somebody high in hostility, probably more than just them. Maybe they actively gesture a lot more, or they're doing this, just little things make them angry that are little annoying things, okay? So those are people high in hostility. So even a questionnaire measure of the specific trait of hostility is, so what they found out is that even if you just have a questionnaire that only measures hostility, that is a better predictor of type A than measuring all those three things together. Hostile people react disagreeably to disappointments, frustrations, and inconveniences. Again, when people talk slowly, if you misplace your car keys, you can't find them, they get really mad. If they have to wait in line at the store, things that slow them down, they get angry. Or things that just seem annoying or stupid. Okay, so let's look at type A behavior and what is the physical part that goes on with this that makes you more vulnerable to having a heart attack and heart disease. So strong feelings of hostility and aggression produce that flight or fight response that we talked about earlier, right? So there's that increase in blood pressure and the constriction of the arteries and increase in heart rate. Everything increases because you're in the fight or flight. You're preparing to flight or fight, right? All of that gets amped up a lot more often in people who are hostile. So because of that, and you can imagine, they've got more blood flow through smaller arteries, and all of this blood flow pounding and pounding and pounding through their arteries, all day as they're having troubles in traffic and having troubles at the store and all of these things, it does a lot of wear and tear on their arteries, all that blood pounding through. So it causes little tears, little abrasions, and then fat and cholesterol can adhere to those tears and those abrasions, because usually it's a smooth surface in there, right? And the blood can go through and the fat and cholesterol can just slide through with everything else. But imagine there's these tiny little abrasions that hook like fat and cholesterol, and then it starts to build there, right? So that is arteriosclerosis, hardening and narrowing of the arteries. So because the arteries are narrowed, there's a shortage of blood to the heart, and then they have a heart attack. And that was that. That was a quick video. So we covered type A personality and heart attacks, and that is the end of chapter 18. I will see you in the next video.